Hey up, it's Steve from the Old Yorkshire Geek, and it's Friday night appointment with fear. This week, I'm having a more modern film than I usually have, even though it's from 1985. But tonight we're having Lifeforce, directed by Tobe Hooper, which I think personally is his best film. You know, a lot of people say Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but I'm a big Lifeforce fan. It's a great science fiction horror film. So we're just going to go through it. Obviously, we're not going to watch it because, you know, copyright and all that. But we're going to go through it in a series of stills. And I'll explain why I like it, what's going on, and why I like it. So, right, so let's get on with it. Where have I put it? It's there. Right, anyway, so it's an MGM film, so off we go. This is that's I suppose classed as the extended version, by the way, because originally when it was released in the UK, it didn't have this introduction that you see here. It just started and showed the shuttle Churchill going through space, and it had like an intro crawl sort of thing, or a title card, and it didn't have the intro music, the great theme by Henry Mancini. What to think about that? Didn't have the great theme that we get in this one, so I can't play it. You know, I have to watch the film, and also this. I don't know why we've got an asteroid, because it's not going to an asteroid. It's showing the titles over this asteroid, but they're going to a comet anyway. But we'll get to that. So we're listening to the great music. There we go. Directed by Tobe Hooper. Is it Tobe or Toby? I've heard it pronounced both ways. I'll say Tobe. Tobe Hooper. The late, great Tobe Hooper. He passed away, didn't he, a few years ago. Right, so here we go. There we go. There's the space shuttle Churchill on the way to Halley's Comet. They call it Halley's Comet in this, but it's pronounced Halley. Or as Stephen Fry once said, I think it had actually been pronounced Hawley in the days of Sir Edmund Halley. God, see, I'm at it now. So they're off to Halley's Comet anyway. I don't know why it's green. What Halley's Comet green? I don't think it was, but anyway, so we can see there the Churchill with its Nerva engine, which keeps a constant acceleration, therefore gravity on in the direction of travel. And then it's got its solar arrays. So here we go. So they're on the way. There's a state-of-the-art computer graphics, and they detect something. This is supposed to be the nucleus of Halley's Comet, and they detect something inside on their scanners. There we are. There's the captain, Steve Railsback. Plays a colonel, I do believe is Colonel Carlson. There's what's his name now? Super famous British actor, famous in Britain. Played who did he play? I can't remember. He had the TV series it's Nicholas Ball, by the way, but I can't remember who he played. It wasn't Lovejoy, was it? That wasn't Lovejoy, was it? Might have been. I can't remember. I'll tell you what, no, never mind. It's not that important. But that's Nicholas Ball. Anyway, I don't know who all these actors are. So they're looking at this, and they're going to find that there's an object in that's several miles long. They're looking up at it. It's I don't think it's about 100 miles long, and about its maximum thickness is about 2 miles thick. In the original version, the theatrical version that was shown in the UK, they actually said the whole thing was 2 miles long. They said the vertical height of 2 miles, and they kind of suggested that was the length of the object, but it's over 100 miles long. But here we go, there's some more. Great effects, by the way, by John Dykstra at Apogee. Remember John Dykstra, one of the original Star Wars special effects pioneers. But the great effects in this must have cost. I think this was Canon Films' most expensive ever film, and it's all there on screen. It's a great film. I love it. Bit over the top, but it's amazing. So they see the Churchill. It retracts its solar panels and shuts down the Nova engine, so they kind of go weightless. As it glides in, we can see the ship, the spaceship there in the distance. Here we go. It's more cool effects. All no CG in this film. Well, technically, no, there ain't. It's all practical effects, models, and there's like some laser effects that they use later on, but it's still not CG, is it? Because it's 1985, there were no such thing. Well, not very good CG anyway. Back then, I know we had seen Tron and the last Starfighter we'd seen the year before. So yeah, technically there could be CG in it, but there ain't. That's obviously a matte painting. Oooh, matte painting. Anyway, so they come out, the bottom of the shuttle opens up, and they come out of their manned manoeuvring units, MMUs. And they head off. They find there's an opening in the hull of the alien vessel. They go inside, and it's all very organic inside. It's like they're going inside a living thing, which they kind of are. And here they find the occupants of the craft, and they're like big bats, and they're all dead. Apparently, well, most of them are. And they go up to one, and it breaks off part of it. I don't know if I probably won't be able to catch that particular part. I bet I've gone past it already. Anyway, we see him again here, all floating about, all dead and desiccated. He breaks off part of one and said all the fluids being lost to space. While they're inside, the ship begins to obviously detects their presence, and it begins to deploy like a huge umbrella, which has a purpose that we'll see later on. This is the part where it's going to break off. He breaks off this finger here, but as you can see, they look like bats, big, sort of like kind of humanoid bats. And we see one later on. That's Steve Railsback again. What does that say? Keep clear. There, that's upside down. Why is that upside down? Don't know. Push and half turn for release. So nice little, things here. It's obviously ESA. That's the ESA logo, because it's a joint NASA European Space Agency mission. See, there's ESA there. Some British Union flags. And that's why the shuttle's called the Churchill, because it's a lot of Brits on board. So they're going deeper inside, and then they find there's like this bright light. This goes, and it all lights up. This is when the umbrella's unfolding outside, and they kind of lose contact with the Churchill. But they decide to go in. They decide to go into the light. Don't go into the light, but they do. They decide to bag up one of the bat-like creatures in a net, and a plastic bag, obviously. So they're going to take that back, but they go inside where the light is, and there we go. And inside they find three humans, basically, 2 men and a woman. Obviously, I'm going to have to do some editing on this, because I'm not doing this live. I'm actually recording this on Thursday night, not on Friday. So I'll have to do some editing on this and cover up the cheeky parts, because YouTube won't like that, will it? So anyway, so I remember they're all floating about, so he's upside down. And they're upside down. But there isn't no up or down in space, is there? I mean, you could say there is. There's still, galactic. There's still a galactic North and South Pole, isn't there? So, but anyway, whatever. Anyway, he looks into the eyes of the female. She's got her eyes closed, obviously, but looks into her face, and they kind of all get a little bit woozy, apart from the women, apparently. Anyway, they decide to take them. They break them loose in some sort of crystal cases. And they decide to break them loose and take them back. So that's what they do. And one of the fellas says, she looks perfect to me. I've been in space for 6 months, and she looks perfect to me. And another woman there that's with them thinking, what am I? Chopped liver. Anyway, so that's what they're doing there. They're taking it back. Right, meanwhile, let's see if we can go back a little bit. Go on, go back. I'm going to have to hit play just to get the right part. So, is it going to play? There we go. There's the Churchill heading back. And then it cuts again. So I think everything's... Oh, see, I've gone too far again. Come on, you bugger. There we go. 30 days later, the Churchill re-enters... don't do what I thought it did. Re-enters Earth orbit. This is... what's his name? What's his name? He's been in a James Bond film. And I can't remember his name. Michael Gothard, that's it. Played a baddie in a James Bond film once. He's played Dr. Bukowski, who's the head of the kind of the British Space Agency sort of thing. Anyway, they're tracking the Churchill. They're in London, by the way, at the European Space Centre, or whatever the hell they call it. Anyway, the Churchill, it's not responding to hails, as they'd say in Star Trek, but it's in orbit, it's reached orbit, but they can't get through to him. So there's a shuttle on the pad going up. The Columbia, I think they send up to see what's going on. There we go. This is obviously one of the early launches of the Columbia, because it's got the white external tank, which I think they're only the first. Maybe the first 2 launches maybe had the white tank, and then they ditched that for the orange one. They didn't bother painting it basically because they didn't need to. It was just a waste of money, wasn't it? So the Columbia goes up with the crew, and they get on board the Churchill, and they find that everybody's dead. That they can find there's been a fire. So there's been a fire. And they find the bodies, looks all quite gruesome, they're all burned to death. But then they find the humanoids in their cases, and so they bring them back. And here we go, they're going to do autopsies on them and stuff like that. This is Frank Finlay. He plays Dr. Fallada. Am I saying that right? Yeah, Dr. Fallada, who's an expert on death, apparently. Don't know why you'd want him there, but that's his field of expertise. Anyway, they've got the bodies now on Earth, and they've got guards guarding them. But they're going to do an autopsy, but it doesn't go well, as we'll see. Oh no, that's it. No, see, I'm getting ahead of myself. An initial examination, and then that's it. Then they leave, and they leave a guard in place. There's Dr. Bukowski, watching on from his office through the CCTVs, and he sees the guard. See, here he is. He's seeing the guard being drawn to the young woman. It was played by Mathilda May, who was a French actress. I think this is her first major role, maybe her first role ever, I don't know. I think she was a dancer originally, but she got this part. I don't think she spoke very good English, or she might have spoke no English at all, I don't know, but she did her lines. She hadn't got many lines, but she did her lines, I think phonetically. I think they just told her what she had to say, she repeated it. But she's been in 1 or 2 other films since. But she never became a big star. This is her most famous role, for obvious reasons. But anyway, this guard here is kind of hypnotised by her, even though she's just lying there. So he goes in, look, and there she is. I mean, she's a very beautiful young woman. He goes to touch her, and she opens her eyes. I'll probably miss it. Let's have a look. He's gonna touch her, look, and when they're ready, and her eyes open, and he flinches, and she sits up. She sits up being all cheeky, showing all her boobs and stuff. There we go. Dr. Bukowski, like, takes notice then. Think, crikey, she's alive. But then she starts kissing the guard, and all these laser effects happen. Swirling clouds of energy come around, and it's obvious she's draining him of his life force. Remember, that's the name of the film. So that's what happens. Anyway, Bukowski runs down, he runs to all these doors, opening all these doors, and he gets there just as the guard drops, flops back dead. I think Bukowski captures him. If I can get to that bit, tell you. See, he runs in, look, well, don't run in, but he goes in, look, just gets hold of the chap. There he is, dead. Good. I must admit, the good makeup and model effects, animatronics by Nick Maley, who's done a few of the films. I mean, some people have said, they look a bit too fake, but to me, I think they're really good mechanical and animatronic and makeup effects in this. Yeah, you can tell that they're animatronics, but they're really, really well done, I think. Really, a lot of effort gone into it. Anyway, so he's caught the guard, but then she's still there, look, in all the cheekiness. And she goes up to him. You think, she's going to drain him as well. But then Dr. Fallada goes into Bukowski's office, and he sees what's going on. He thinks, for crying out loud. So he goes running down, and he finds Dr. Bukowski, but he's not dead. She just drained him a little bit. She must have got most of what she needed from the guard. She just needed a little bit more, and so she just drained a little bit from Bukowski. But she's gone, he says, she's gone, and then he points to the guard, and she says, she did that. So Dr. Fallada gets on the blower to security, and says, they've got to keep an eye out for a naked girl, and the security guards are like saying, did he say naked? Anyway, so she comes across the security guards. There you go, she's walking. You'd never believe what I've just seen. So anyway, she's in the reception now, near the main doors, and she just comes, waltzing down the steps, and the guards are like, stop right there, miss. But then she uses her powers, as we will see. She throttles one guard with the power. She just holds a hand up and throttles him, and then does like something else, something electric or something, to the other guard, sort of knocks him out, and then she just strolls out, and then she smashes the... I've missed it, look. Keep going. Go back a bit. Look, this does the... all that. See, I'm trying to get the bit where she's... she's not done it yet. She's going to do it in a minute. She's going to go to these windows, and they're all going to break. It's a Space Research Centre, that's what they call it. And they spelt centre properly, look, with R-E, because it's in London. So there she stands there, and then she makes the window smash. There we go. So more cool practical effects. Anyway, so she heads off. You just see her there. Can you see her there? There she is. In the distance, walking off. Dr. Fallada's just arrived. So he's obviously thinking, I'm not chasing after that, after what he's just seen. Then Colin Firth enters the film. I think it's Colin Firth, isn't it? Peter Firth. No, Colin Firth, the Love Actually fella, isn't it? And The King's Speech, that's Colin Firth. This is Peter Firth. Don't know if they're related. Maybe they are. But he's playing Colonel Kane of the SAS. So he arrives. We're going to see him appear here. Come on, get out of the car. And there he is. He's hamming it up in this film. I mean, it's not the best acting, really, in this film, but, it's a bit of fun. It tells me it's a D-notice situation, which means no press. So he goes in, and he looks at this is what's left of the guard. This happened it's coming up to 2 hours ago, and then he arrives. And then we find out what happens after 2 hours soon. So that's the guard completely, almost completely desiccated. There's nothing left of him, completely drained. Dr. Bukowski, feeling a bit nauseous, but apart from that, he seems okay, he seems okay. You'd have thought, I thought she'd done something to him to make him like, maybe a slave or something, and he'd do things for her, but he doesn't. We don't see anything like that. But I thought that was going to happen, but it hasn't. Make him a bit like a Renfield sort of character, in Dracula, but no. That's not what happened. Because the original title for this is called Space Vampires, because it was written by Colin Wilson, the book, the novel, Space Vampires, and obviously they've changed it to Lifeforce for the film. So they're here talking about what's going on. They've obviously got this young girl who's done all this stuff and just headed out into the night, and Frank Finlay says that girl is no girl. She's totally alien to this planet and totally dangerous, but not in a Yorkshire accent. So he asks, have they done the autopsy on the other two, what they call humanoids, whatever they call them? And then he looks at his watch and goes, oh no, I suppose not yet. Or have they done the autopsy on the guard yet? That's it. But they're going to do that soon. And this is where they're having a chat. This is where he says his field of expertise is death. What happens as we die, what happens after we die, all that stuff. That's his interest. And then he says, life after death. He says, do you think that is such a thing? And Frank Finlay says, yes, I do. He says he believes the life force exists, forever, and survives the body and can be passed on and and used. That's what he thinks. So that's what's happening, with these space vampires. They're not draining blood; they're draining energy, life force from living beings. Right, so we see some other guards, good old British Tommies, talking with Cockney accents, and they're guarding the two male humanoids. And gets a fright, does this chap, and he says, do you think they're alive? And he goes, I'm not paid to think nothing. Anyway, so, they're having a little chat. There's the two male space vampires, but then it all explodes, and suddenly they're awake. There they are. They're coming. I think one of these is, what's he called now? He did the jeans advert, didn't he? A famous male model in the 80s. Let's have a look. I've got IMDb here. It might say down here. Nick somebody or other. Oh, see if it says. Nick. What was his name now? I bet it won't now when I get down here. No, because I can't see it. This is not... no, it's not there. Oh, what were he called now? What were he called? Let's see if it says I'm looking for. First vampire, Chris Jagger. Second vampire, Bill Malin. Oh, so it wasn't. I thought it was. I thought it was the jeans advert. Is it Levi's or some Wrangler jeans? It did, where it was in the laundrette washing his jeans. Remember that advert from donkeys years ago? I thought it was him. Could have sworn I'd seen somewhere that said it was him. Nick. He brought a single out, didn't he? Nick, no, not Nick. Is it Nick Kamen? Yeah, I think it was Nick Kamen, wasn't it? But anyway, it's not him, so never mind. Which I thought it was, but never mind. That must be one of these urban legends that's going round. Right, anyway, so there they are. They're coming. He's got green eyes, hasn't he? Are they his own? Is that his own green eyes? Anyway, so they shoot him. The soldiers shoot him. Does nothing. Then they throw a couple of hand grenades, and that seems to do the trick. But all is not as it seems. They come down, see the aftermath. They say there's not much left of the bodies. We don't actually see what's left. It doesn't show us. It's not that gruesome. Pardon me. But then we see one of the guards. It looks a bit shifty. If it shows us, it might not show us actually. Might be later on. I'm thinking. So I think that's what when they're doing the autopsy, and so I think they've just started. So they're just starting the autopsy on the guard that were drained by the girl. This what they call space girl. Is that what they call her? What's she? Yeah, Space Girl, that's what she's listed as. So they're about to do the autopsy. Just as he's about to cut into him, his eyes open. And see if I can get that. I bet I can't. Look, he's all shocked. Look, go back another little bit. There we go. His eyes are going to open. You ready? It's just going to cut in. His eyes open. Looks, like I say, it's good animatronics. You can tell it's a model and a puppet and stuff, but it's still good. It's still well made. And then he sits up and he uses his, like Dracula could hypnotise people to come to him. This is what they do. So he hypnotises the pathologist or whatever he is, and he comes towards him. All the others are cowering, but he's saying, "Come to me." He don't say it, but the doctor goes to him, and then he starts draining the doctor's energy, and we see the doctor, starting to be drained, and we see life going back into him. I'll do a little. There we go. Do another one in a second. Copyright. There we go. You see, look, he's starting to plump up now, and he's getting thinner. There you go. Gets even thinner, and then when it's done, he's back to normal. Is the guard? Who plays the guard, by the way? Does it say? Will it say first guard? It just says guard. That's probably him. John Keegan. Is that him? I don't know him from anywhere. Where are we? There we go. So he's just killed the has he killed him? The doctor. And so everybody's just seeing it, and then he realises what he's done, and so he gets scared, and so the guards go in and grab hold of him, because he's just a man, basically. He's not got superpowers, apart from when he needs feeding, the energy. But so they take him away and stuff him in a cell, and then they gather up the doctor that's just been drained. They put him, in a separate cell, and Dr. Fallada says it's 2 hours. He says, I wouldn't be surprised if we're seeing some kind of pattern. So, he came to that conclusion quickly, didn't it? And then Dr. Bukowski comes in, I do believe. Well, in a minute. Oh, no, that's a bit later. See, I'm getting ahead of myself again. Another body's being found. These two lads, who look familiar. I've seen these two in something else, but I can't think what. Maybe like EastEnders or Grange Hill or something like that. I don't know. But these two lads, they found the body of a young woman, and the police are there. And they think, is it the girl, the space girl? But it's not. They say that this young woman met up with the space girl who wasn't wearing any clothes, and they sort of angled round to see if they were doing anything, smirking, and that's when they found this dead woman. So they take her back to the Space Research Centre. But then it's 2 hours now since he drained the doctor, so he's becoming hungry again now. He's starting to freak out a bit, looks like that. And obviously he can't get to anybody. Why ain't he using his hypnotic powers to bring somebody to him like he did before? Don't know. But here we go, the great Aubrey Morris. He's there as some sort of minister. Let's have a look. Sir Percy is some sort of government minister. They brought him in to give him a briefing, but he sees what's going on, and the guard, obviously doesn't get fed, and he kind of desiccates again, loses all his energy, and so Dr. Binion drops down dead. Dr. Bukowski picks up this metal bar. Oh, see, I've missed it, look. There we go. And we see that he's just turned to dust, basically. He's jabbed him with the metal bar, and it just all breaks out, and it's just all turned to dust. And then in the other cell, here we go, there's the doctor that he drained. He wants feeding as well, and he's smashing up the cell, and then he sees them, and he just heads towards them. Just smashes through the bars, and that's the end of that doctor. So they're all covered in bits of doctor now, and I'd be going Because it'll be up my nose. It's up my nose. I've got bits of person up my nose. And in my ears. Right, so then they head wherever, upstairs, we'll say, to one of the operating rooms. That's where they've got the body of the young woman, and they've strapped her down, even though she's quite dead. So we can get her. There we go. Another great, bit of animatronics by, I'm sure it's Nick Maley. I'm going to have to check that again. I'll have to check that, and the cast and crew. It'll say down here somewhere, won't it? Makeup. Come on, where are you? You should have a thing for yourself, not all this big list of people. It's in there somewhere. I think it's Nick Maley. I think it is Nick Maley. I can't find his name in here. Because there's too big a list of names. You can't see it. I'm scrolling through it. It's massive. Anyway, whatever. Go on, back up to the top again. So they've got wired up to what's that? EEGs, isn't it? EEGs and ECGs as well. And she's quite dead, and then suddenly 2 hours passes after she was killed. She comes back to life, her eyes open, look, and she starts growing like that, and all the equipment starts registering. There she is. Obviously, she doesn't know what's going on. A little fly there, and all the equipment starts sparking and everything, so she's obviously trying to get energy from the electrical equipment as well, but it's obviously the wrong sort of energy, and so she starts thrashing about, and but it's no good. She just flops back down, and then explodes, as we'll see. There we go. She explodes. So basically what they've got to do with these space aliens, these space vampires, is just make sure that their victims are locked up for 2 hours, and then they'll blow up. I don't know what she exploded for, because the guard didn't explode, did he? And the doctor didn't explode until he ran into the bars of the cell. Right, here's where Dr. Bukowski comes in and says they've detected the Churchill's escape pod coming down in Texas, and this is where we find out that it's there. Go, they open it, look, and they find it's Steve Railsback inside. There he is, look, with a beard. Colonel, I forgot his name now. What's his name now? I just said it not so long since, haven't I? Colonel Carlson, that's it. My brain. So they whisk him over to London. There we go. They obviously make him shave, whisk him over to London. I presume this is several days later now. Several days have passed. At least a couple of days, at least. You'd think. And so they brought him over for an interview with Colonel Kane and Bukowski and Dr. Fallada, and to explain what happened on the Churchill. Colonel Kane tells him that they know about the bodies that they found, the humanoids, and that they were brought down, and the girl has escaped, and people have died, blah blah blah. And so Colonel Carlson says, well, he tried to stop him and all that, but we find out later what really happened. He says that they killed everybody in the crew, on the crew of the Churchill. And we find out later what happened. Oh, there goes. This is what he's telling them. They took them back to the Churchill, and then the crew started dying. They started finding bodies, and he ended up being the only one left. That's what he's going through. The equipment got smashed, and they blamed this chap. But it turns out it was Carlson that did it, because he's got a connection with the space girl for some reason. The way she looks is she's taken her form from Carlson's mind. His perfect woman. And he ended up being the only one left, so he started the fire and got into the escape pod, and that's that. And he thought, the fire would finish them off. There we go. Opens up all the oxygen valves, and there we go. Starts the one that the desiccated, the bat one that they brought on board. He starts a fire in that with his laser thing. I don't know what it is, but he sets it on fire with his laser gun. And he gets in the escape pod, and it all sets fire inside, and that's that. Then he goes to sleep, and then he wakes up screaming because it's Steve Railsback, and he's good at stuff like that. He's one of these actors that I thought, if you want somebody to scream and sweat a lot and act like a nutter, then you get Steve Railsback. That's why he was so good in the X-Files. Remember, he played I can't remember his name. Played that character, didn't he? That kidnapped Scully because he thought he'd been abducted by aliens, and he was good in that. He was also in The Stuntman as well. But he's one of those actors that I think is not that good an actor. I don't know why he's so famous. But anyway, pardon me. So he's having a dream here. Look, he's dreaming about the space girl, and she appears to him and seduces him. But apparently it's not quite a dream. She is in contact with him, and that's, she's talking to him in his dreams. They have got a connection. But he wakes up screaming again, all sweaty. And Falada says, can I hypnotise you? And he goes, yeah, whatever. So there we go. They're going to start hypnotising him to find out what happened. And that's when they find out they've got a connection. And he says their body's hidden somewhere, but her sort of like spirit or whatever, her essence is somewhere else, and she's in another body. And there we go. She's in this young woman here, who is called, I think it's Ellen, played by Nancy Paul. And she works at like a psychiatric hospital. She's a nurse. But basically, the space girl has taken over her, possessed her, for want of a better word. She's possessed her, and so she's out wandering, and she's hang on, keep going, and she's looking. There we go. She finds this chap, and he's got a car and a Volvo, and they ask, what's the number plate? So she tells him the number plate, so they can track him, who he is. They find that she's seduced this chap. And then I don't think he can carry on any further. And then Colonel Kane's saying, I need to find a white Volvo, and he gives them the reg plate. And they do find him, and they say he's totally exhausted, and that she's and they find the girl. Oh, meanwhile, they find the girl, and that she works at this mental asylum that's run by Patrick Stewart. Meanwhile, the thing from the comet has arrived. It's come out from the comet, and it's heading for Earth. And there it is. The umbrella is deployed. It looks like basically looks like a tree. It's a big plant-like thing, isn't it? But this has a purpose that we'll see in a bit. But as you see, it's all looking cool effects from the 80s. There's Falada. He's got a big sword for some reason, but it gets used soon. It's because he suspects how to kill these space vampires, as we will see. And I think he suspects about what's going to happen soon. He calls for the guard, who are guarding, the two male bodies. Remember, the shot him and the blew him up, but he suspects something about the guard. This guard in particular, I think it's because he's found that they can swap bodies. They can move their essence into other bodies and possess people, so he must suspect something. So here, this other guard here, look. So I don't know how he knows it's this guard, but maybe he's just a good judge of character. Right, this is Sir Percy telling Colonel Kane that they found the chap, and he was completely exhausted, who Ellen seduced, the space girl, and they found that she works as a nurse, because the fella, the chap she seduced, gives them all this information, found that she works as a nurse at this psychiatric hospital, and there we go, Thurleston Hospital. It's run by Patrick Stewart, who plays Dr. Armstrong. There we go. So they head there in a helicopter. Here we go. It's one of his early roles, and it's before he became Captain Picard. And I do believe this may be his first on-screen kiss. And it's with Steve Railsback in a bit. Anyway, so they meet him, and so they go inside, and they go talk to the nurse. She doesn't know what's going on, because I think the Space Girl's moved on. Yeah, the Space Girl's moved on from her. She's in another person now, but she knows something's happened to her. But so she's feeling a bit weird. And this is Carlson's looking into her eyes, says, "Oh, she's not here. She's moved on." And Carlson knows where the Space Girl is, because when he shook hands with Dr. Armstrong, Patrick Stewart, that's when he knows. The Space Girl's in Patrick Stewart, so to speak. But he tells him it's in one of the other patients, a big man with a birthmark, and he says it's so and so. I can't remember his name. It might say in the cast list. Let's have a look. Oh, I'm looking at the wrong side. Come here, little fly flying around. Sorry. No, it's not saying in the list. Might be Ned Price, I don't know. Might be. Can't remember. Might be Ned Price. Anyway, we're a child murderer or something, I don't know. So they want to interview him. Carlson takes Kane to one side. I think when that was it. When as we just saw in the previous bit, we see he's not going to do it now. Look. I'm not going to find it. He puts his hand on Carlson's shoulder. We saw it a minute ago. I paused it on that bit, but I'm not going to bloody show it now. It's not going to show it. And that's when he realised that she was inside him. But we don't know that yet. I'm spoiling things. Right, so they're going to get this patient, and they're going to, sedate him and stuff, so that Carlson can do the hypnosis stuff on him. There he is. But it's just a ruse, because she's not in him. So, see, I've missed it now. Look. See, Carlson grabs hold of Patrick Stewart and puts the sedative into Patrick Stewart. And this male nurse, is like, "What's going on?" But they say, "Can't got time to explain." So they bundle Patrick Stewart away to his office and shove him on this table. And then the Space Girls talk through Patrick Stewart. And he's saying, "Tell me where you are, where's your body, and I'll keep you like this, for months if I have to." Then it gives him another injection. And this is where he does the kiss in a minute. He opens his eyes and he talks in her voice. And there we go. And the kiss. So we see Patrick Stewart kissing Steve Railsback. And all this energy comes out. And but it goes back in. We see it come out, and then we see it go back in. Because of the drugs, she can't escape, basically. There we go. We saw it go back in then. Bit like Poltergeist, everything's all flying about. And, it's cool. And I think Sir Percy, Aubrey Morris, he gets hit by something and he's dead, his neck's broken. But they keep, drugging up Patrick Stewart. So anyway, they decide to bung them all in a helicopter, fly back to London. So this is what they do. They get more of the hypnotic drug, as they call it. They've got Sir Percy's body in there as well as Patrick Stewart. But then, this is Falada. He's had his breakthrough. And he tells them that they're like the vampires of old, and the way to kill them is to stake them through the heart, or just below the heart, not with wood, but with leaded iron. That's what he had his sword for. And then he's used it on the guard, killed the guard. And he takes, later on the sword gets taken out and the guard disintegrates into nothing. So they head back, and apparently London's been put under a state of emergency because the things have been spreading, apparently. These space vampires have been spreading. Like in Salem's lot where they say, 2 times, 4 times 8, all that, So we're... It's all kicking off in London. Meanwhile, it's kicking off in the helicopter. Look, all the blood starts to come out of Patrick Stewart, and I think Aubrey Morris as well. And it starts there. That's Aubrey Morris's model. And all the blood starts coming out of him. It starts forming into her. Look, it starts forming into there. She looks gorgeous there, doesn't she? But all covered in blood and gooey and horrible. But she can't keep that form, and she screams and just disappears into goo. But she's gone. They've lost her then, She's not trapped in Patrick Stewart anymore. She's gone. She's gone back to her own body, wherever that is. We find out later it's in a church. I think it's St Paul's Cathedral, I think. That's where she is. But anyway, they head back to London. But they can't go to the Space Research Centre because London's under quarantine. They've got to land at a staging area. This is where he's talking about what happened on the church, or what really happened, and it was him that smashed the equipment, and because he wanted to be with her, and basically he'd have done anything for her. She killed all their crew, but he'd have done anything for her because he couldn't help himself. Anyway, meanwhile, London's kicking off. Look, everybody's panicking, and there's lasers and stuff like that flying about. And what's happening? All this is space. They're like zombies. They call them vampires, but it becomes like a zombie film here. But zombies that drain energy from other people, and as that happens, this thing is collecting all the energy and transmitting it up to the ship. As you can see, like zombies. Look, like a cross between vampires and zombies. Anyway, they land at this staging area, and I think they're looking at there's a beam of energy coming up from London. I think I've gone too far probably. They're heading in. What's happening? Oh no, never mind. Probably in a bit. Anyway, they go inside. I think the Prime Minister's in there. Yep, they're going to see the Prime Minister, but he's been infected as well. And he gets his secretary, there's the Prime Minister, and he's all like, oh, crikey. And he calls for his assistant. He goes, Miss Faversham, come, talks like that. And they disappear behind some chart or something, and then we see what happens. There we go. They're gonna view what happens, and they know. There, see, they know it's spreading. And then other people in the base, they start collapsing as well. So they get this helicopter. It's the helicopter that they arrived in. They take off. But some soldiers come out that are infected, and they try. Hang on. If we can see it. There we go. They try and get on board, but it fires a flare gun at him, look, and it's all cool. So they're flying over London. So everything's all blowing up. It's all going to pot. It's like the Blitz. And they arrive at another base. But they're being held under quarantine for 2 hours, because that's the incubation period, as these soldiers call it. A terrible disease is sweeping London. And the decisions come from General Ames in Brussels that they're going to cleanse the city with a thermonuclear strike. But Carlson realises he's got to get into the city. He's got to find, the space girl. This is more of this energy collection that's going on. We'll see what happens in a minute. Look there, all the energies going up into the white ball of light. And that's where we see. Look, she's in a church, laid on some sort of tomb, and he can see her. He knows. He says he needs to get into the city and he'll be able to find her, but he don't know exactly where she is. But he can find her. So he steals a car and heads off. And so Carlson goes after him. And they say, if you go in there, we'll not let you back out here. He said, you don't want to go in there, sir. That's what he says. No, I don't. So he heads off. So there's more zombie fun. Running people over. So Colonel Kane heads back to the Space Research Centre to see if he can find Dr. Fallada. He's heading to find the Space Girl. See, everything's... it's very Quatermass. It reminds me of Quatermass, the end of Quatermass and the Pit, where London's going to the dogs. But there's all these bodies here. Oh, and that's it. So you see the big beam of light coming out of the church. I think it's St. Paul's Cathedral. And he gets there, look. But then we see... He can't get inside because... he does get inside. Oh, no, it's Kane that arrives in a bit. He gets inside and finds the Space Girl. Kane arrives at the Space Research Centre. There's still bodies lying about. There's a body there. Look, you can't see it there, but there's a body here outside next to his car. Will that come back to life? I don't know. So he goes in and he finds Fallada, who's obviously been infected. Don't know how, but he has. Probably by that guard. And as we can see, he's deteriorating a bit. Pardon me. There we go. And he actually says, here I go. And he collapses, look, and burns away. So there we go. Kane takes the sword from the guard. The guard just, turns into a pile of ash. Meanwhile, the zombies... I see this bit, I always think they're going to start dancing and Michael Jackson's going to appear. They're reminiscent of Thriller. Dee 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 dee. Anyway, enough of that. Right, Carlson's found the Space Girl. So he has another snog with her in a minute. There we go. See, she stands up and says, "Come to me." So he goes to her. I mean, who wouldn't? Kane heads back into the city. I mean, they know where to go. They just look for the big beam of light that's going into the sky. I haven't found a picture of it, have I? Because I'm an idiot. But anyway, he's here being chased by a horde of zombie vampires. Yeah, we've got that pub there. That too late. Anyway, nice bit of there we go. Nice bit of golf here there. I might have to edit that out. There's a pub back there. I can't find a bloody pause now, and it actually reminded me of the pub in Shaun of the Dead. I don't think. There we go. For some reason, that reminds me of the pub in Shaun of the Dead. Is it the same pub? Could be. I don't know. Or is all this a sound stage? I don't know. Anyway, so he... here we go. Another cool bit of the special effects. There we go. It goes into the tube. It's getting all the... getting all the energy from all these space zombie vampire thingamabobs. Anyway, Carlson's... The people are burning. It's all going to pot. That's it, and he goes. He ends up at. I'll say St. Paul's Cathedral. I don't know if it is or not. They just say she's at the church or the cathedral. They actually said which one it is, but it looks like St. Paul's to me. So he goes running up. Here we go. The big light thing appears over him, and it actually coalesces. It heads to that's heading to the church as well. See, Carlson's heading there. Not Kane. Carlson's already in there with the Space Girl. Kane, there we go, he's running, and then this arrives. Sorry, I can't, I've got to keep pausing it. And then this arrives and coalesces into one of the one of the space vampires, one of the male ones. You know, the ones that I thought were Nick Came, but it isn't. I'm sure I'd read that somewhere, but obviously it's not true. So where is there? It goes. See, comes out, and it actually speaks in the original version. It didn't speak, but it does in this. I can't remember what it says, but it says something in a deep and booming voice. But Kane just stabs him with the big sword, and that's. I think he then transforms in. There we go. I'm going to see it here now. Look. Transforms into one of the. There we go. Into the bat form. We'll see in a moment. You ready? In a minute. I've got to keep pausing it. Sorry, but anyway, get more of these lasery effects. I think it's lasers that they've used to make them. Lasers and smoke and stuff. But in a minute, he's gonna do. He's gonna change into a big bat. Come on, get on with it. If I click on, it'll go too bloody far. See, it has done. Look. There we go. There, just paused it right. Changes into that big bat with a big sword stuck in it. I say another good puppet. People will say, but it looks a bit rubbish. It doesn't look rubbish to me. Looks pretty good, does that? And then it explodes, and whatever, and he gets the sword back. There we go. Goes inside, and we see there's the beam coming up. That's heading into the spaceship, and that's what the big umbrella's for. It's a collector, and it's collecting all the energy from all the people of London. That'll keep it powered for another, 76 years till Halley's Comet comes round again. Did this happen in 1910 when Halley's Comet were last year? I don't know. I don't think so. But there we go. There's Carlson and the Space Girl, and they're going to snog. And Kane throws down the sword. Carlson puts up his hand, and Kane throws down the sword. There we go. And he runs it through them both. And they go, oh, look, no, you've stabbed us both. But then they both turn into energy. I'm going to see it now. They turn into energy for some reason. They go up in the beam. There we go, knocks him, look. And the sword comes out. Then that goes, ooh, cool. It might not be St. Paul's Cathedral, I don't know. It's some cathedral, some church in it, I don't know what it is. And it shows them, well, we're going to see it, there we go, shows them in the beam, look. It's a bit corny, that, doesn't it? But the big spaceship's collecting all the energy, there we go, that's Carlson and the Space Girl. And then we see them, and they're back in the, here we go, in the crystal cases. There looked to be a few humanoids there, didn't there? So I wonder who they were. So they gathered enough energy to bring some of the vampires back. Because there were only 3 wanted to start with, and now there look to be quite a few there. Anyway, the umbrella closes, and the ship heads back to Halley's Comet. There we go, off it goes. So it's done its job, I suppose. I mean, who won there? I don't know. We killed 2 of the vampires, but there's still a lot left on that ship, and it's gone away. They haven't destroyed the ship. London's left in tatters. The ship floats away into space. Looks like it reminds me of a big poppy seed, poppy, thing there at the end. But probably deliberate. Anyway, that goes off, and there we go. That's the end of the film. That's the end of the film, and we get the theme again. So we'll just do a little bit of it, because it's a cool theme. Yeah, it's a cool theme by Henry Mancini, most famous for the Pink Panther theme, but he did this as well. That'll probably say about there, wouldn't it? Is it there? No, never mind. It said it at the beginning. But yeah, so that's it. That's the end. It's a great film. I love Lifeforce. Like I say, it's mental, but it's a good science fiction horror, and it's got everything. It's got space, it's got space shuttles, it's got comets, aliens, vampires, zombies, end of the world. It's got everything. It's great. I love it. So I'm very happy to share my thoughts of that film with you. So we're getting to the end. A Cannon film. They didn't last long, did they? Really, Cannon. I think this might have been one of the straws that broke the camel's back with Cannon. This and I think like Superman 4. And then they went bust not long after, didn't they? But I think this was their most expensive film. I think it was something like $20 million or £20 million or something like that. Which was a lot back then, 1985, and a lot for Cannon. And yeah, so that's that. So we'll leave it there and we'll get rid of that. So I hope you enjoyed that little look at Lifeforce. Like I say, I love it. It's a great film. But we'll leave it there. So wherever you are, in the dark and lonely night, don't have nightmares. And until next time, I'll see thee.